Hey, this is Bernie here today on September the 8th, having a little barbecue in my backyard at lunchtime, and right across from Hilton Park, good place to be, nice quiet neighborhood and all that. Thinking of my dad's birthday was September the 6th, he would have been 79. My cousin Lisa, her birthday is September the 10th. I usually call her up and say hello every year because I love her, she's my cuz. One of those, favorites. And there's a number of other good people that have their birthdays in September, actually a whole fleet of them. Myself on the 17th, the mother of my children, of course, was in this month as well. I don't celebrate that with her anymore, but they do. I love my kids, and I hope they do something special with her and take her out for lunch or something and all that. And I know she'll probably buy, but whatever. Anyways, they'll have a good time. And there's some other people, but just thinking today about on my LinkedIn. If you go on my LinkedIn in the professional column, not the articles or the posts, but you look down in the criteria in business development, my career profession from the past, most recent years projects I've been working on, new services and all that. And you can see one of the things I promote is have a barbecue with your company, your team on Friday afternoon. And there's goodwill in that. It promotes teamwork, encourages a team to bond and weld together, as a good team should, I suppose. So I'm doing that here on CCI, not on Friday, but on Tuesday to kick off the week at lunchtime. My good going forward gesture for the week as we lead into the second half of summer, in my view, the fall, September and October. So we're going forth. And I was actually out driving around this morning, and I ran into a couple of kiki birds. And if you remember my story about the kiki birds in Canadian folklore, you go down to the bottom 5 posts of my video timeline, I suppose, on YouTube. You'll see one titled CCI Projects, and we're a project work company, and training, sales training and so forth that I've told you about, leadership, business development, management skills, all that, and customer service and purpose and things and life skills and all that. So you go forth from there, but you look us up, and management skills, how to make the budget come into a reality and get your people working, flowing with you, and teamwork and all that, all the right criteria. But you look on my timeline, it's, if you will and want to, it's titled CCI Project Sales Manager, and I talk a bit in there about the kiki bird of Canadian folklore and how the authority of him was like this. I suggest, well, I caught a couple today and made them, I was gonna tie them up by my pen here. And have you ever been in the pen? I'm in a pen here. It's like some people have these nice elaborate decks where I live. One end's open, the fence on one side is over by the neighbor. I suggest I'm going to get one of those. I propose it one of these days. Right now I'm in my pen. Well, I was going to tie them up by my pen here and keep them alive and tame, but I decided to eat them and make them into sausage for lunch. So there's a kiki bird in action. Good Canadian folklore. It tastes good. And I suggest you may want to try one. If you're a wife of mine someday, and I may be on my 5th one at some point here, if the right woman comes into my life, I'll give you one of those, and you can take it all or half of it or whatever you desire. Have it with your muffin or your quiche lunch, I suppose, or broccoli or cauliflower. Make a good meal out of it, I suggest. And that's all on that. But, we go forth. Today's a good day for sausage barbecuing, and we're doing that. We were raised on sausage, deer sausage, and so forth. And, there was a day when I was 12 years old, my dad took me out hunting. Just having a good Simply Best lemonade, and I'll tell you more about that simple stuff later. But I want to suggest to you, when a boy becomes a man, there's a ritual sometimes that's needed in society for the father to take his son out and get him credited to something where he determines, I'm no longer a boy anymore, I'm now a man. And I guess for me, we probably started shooting pellet guns when we were like 11. Our dad would have us get rid of some of the sparrows around his grain elevator by shooting them. He taught us how to shoot, be safety with it, load the gun appropriately, don't point it in the wrong direction, keep everybody safe around you, shoot it in an area where the target's sure you're not going to miss and go beyond and hit something else and all that. And so we started hunting, geese and ducks, game birds, prairie chicken, partridge, all that. At age 12, we'd go out and walk, and the birds would fly up out of the brush, and we'd shoot them, or they'd come landing down into the lake and the pond if they were ducks and geese, or we'd dig hideout shelters called pits or blinds in the field when they were geese and ducks and so forth. But when we were 14, I got the opportunity to take up a big rifle and shoot big game deers and big burdensome elk and antelope and so forth. Another sight of manhood at another level. I once shot, and this is where the fear comes in a bit, I once shot 2 elk and I once shot 2 antelope with 1 bullet. Well, some of these things just happen, you don't plan them, and it's sort of, your buddy beside you that has a license too, all of a sudden it's just good, humble approach to a gesture when you're together as hunting partners and buddies, I suppose. One guy says, well, I'm done too. You both put your tags on, you limit out, because those things happen. It's not always perfect out there. And so that happened on a couple of occasions. We had a guy in the meadow beside us, and I shot 2, and he come and put his tag on right away. We were all together, 5 of us in a hunting party, I suppose. And my dad took me on that as a older man in my later years of teenage, early 20s kind of thing, mid-20s, I guess I suggest. But the antelope, the guy in the middle of the truck doesn't get out as fast because you're by the door sometimes. You get out first to take your shot. Well, that's how I became and was sure I was a man. With a woman, I know it's a different credit. Bodily changes around the age of 12. Sure you're a woman. And that's why some men don't make it, because they're a boy man into their early 20s, and the ladies are often not sure of them because they're more mature, and they end up finding themselves with an older man like me when they're looking towards a father figure who they love, and I suggest and propose they do, because they don't want someone fiddling with them and twerping with them in their time. They want to be sure. So with the ladies, it's more sure at that time of life. With the men, it isn't. So, I know there's great distance between me and my children. They live in California and I'm here in Alberta, and I visit with them on Skype and Zoom, and that's a sure thing. I have the opportunity to relate to them and teach them and coach them, and they share their lives openly with me. But I hope to do some of these things someday with my kids, like take them backpacking on different things. But, my son's turning 12 later this year in a few months. And with everything that's going on and all the time and space between us, I guess if we're not going to go out and do something like that, like my dad did with me, to make sure I knew I was a man. And I often, until I was about 40, a lot of older ladies were the ones that I was dating and married to and stuff. And, but my son at least can watch this video. And this is humor today too, I suppose. He can at least go out and spit on the grass on the lawn beside his house, kick some dirt, and maybe grab a tree and shake it and say, I love you, tree. I know you're not a bunny hugger, tree lover type, but I love this tree because I'm a nature man, just like my dad, a man of God, I suppose. And I know this tree's breathing living oxygen into the planet, and that's a good thing. And he can know sure that day when he's 12, even if I'm not there, through complicated scenarios of life, that he's a man. And that'll be good tribute to him. And I'll know, and I'll back it up with him too, because I know he's a mature little kid in a lot of ways. So we go from there. I got friends in the neighborhood here, and I'm cooking these sausage, and maybe later today they'll come over and have one with me. But made some good friends during COVID times right here in the neighborhood. And one thing is that sure, some friends come through your life in seasons and they never pass away. They stay with you. Other friends take off and they're gone because chapters of life change. The book goes to a new chapter, a new season of life, I suppose, and there's never around again. Some people are with you and follow you, and you spend time with them the rest of the days of your life, and it's just the way it works out. It's nobody's fault. But I know I got a couple of good ones here in the neighborhood, I think, that aren't going to pass away, because we tend to work out problems and get along, and between the three of us we talk about stuff even when one intertwines with the other and solutions come up. And I suppose that's Wanda and Elizabeth, you know. Spent some good time with them this summer, and you can tell, and you even say it sometimes when things are setting forth in a direction, that this is a long-term thing, eh? We're like family, we're close friends, you know, and you know that about people. So we're going forth, sure, and one of these sausages might be for them. So I attribute that later today, probably after 3, because I got to get some things done here in the beginning of my week, and then maybe I'll relax a bit as the day goes on. I'm waiting on my China account today. Big chunk of my receivables was supposed to be in on the 25th. Something got tied up in their courier system, so they're tracking it down right now, and I'm supposed to hear from them later today, so that's good. More money will be coming in. You know, I'll probably, what will I do when I have more money? Probably the same things I'm doing today. I'll just be a little more sure of my next month, you know what I mean? And the month after that, I suppose. Because, anyways, I'm not going to talk about the old what it took scenario here. But we're on a good foothold here. Got good friends. And I want to talk about trolls. You know, this big thing about trolls in the scenario with social media nowadays. It's just a bad thing, eh? Like if in the day, the word troll meant trolling. When you were trolling, we were fishing. It was a fishing term. You were a quiet man, leisurely out fishing, putting along in your boat, I suppose. And in that, you'd have your line hanging back to catch a fish, and that was called trolling. You'd be putting along. You weren't in a still position casting. And so now, you think about these trolls, you're ahead of somebody when you're a troll. So you're actually being a bully, because they are expressing themselves, maybe ranting and raving sometimes on the internet, and you're a troll and you're looking for them with a lure and a hook out to promote them. No, you're trying to provoke them into an argument or a fight. And so you're being a troll, you're actually a bully. There's going to be more coming down on these trolls in the future with police and social media. I remember when the first white-collar fraud criminal event happened that I was aware of in history. It was here in Calgary, people defrauding the stock market. Until then, crime was just on the street, break-and-enters and stuff. And this was one of the first legitimate ones where white-collar stock market business fraud took place, and people got charges pressed against them. I remember Larry Rickman, a well-known football coach of the CFL. And CFL, where are you? Everybody else has a small version of their league happening during COVID. Where are you? You want to get people to quit complaining that the NFL is taking over and CFL is nothing? Get your foot to action and make something happen before the year's out. Have 5 games and then a playoff or something. Let's go, man. There's no reason why you can't. Everybody else is doing it. No exceptions. And there's no Canadian bubble that needs to take place. All your teams are here. Anyways, whatever. I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, so crime. So trolls, beware. There's going to be more action against you in the future in social media as you're harming and demising people. And that's just a word from me today. Burn May, I suppose. So are you hearing it? I want to talk about justice a little bit more right now, because it's not something I want to do forever. But today I want to talk about the issue we all know as police brutality, the outcry in the news media that goes on and on forever, it seems. And nobody's ever, I mean, what's happening out there really? I mean, is it ever going to end? And are there more people coming out of the woodwork that are actually wolves to jump on a bandwagon where there may have been a few mistakes, you know? And I see that, right? I'm a reality guy. I see the reality of things. Well, I could say I probably could have maybe got into that whole situation years ago in my past when I was in Red Deer and I had a wife, and then I got married, and then I got divorced, you know, all that. And I was, in my view, protecting my kids, looking for something that may have been happening, not talking, And I was wondering, there were no checks going through the bank in my support payments back then when they were little, and I was working in a job, and the court order was to not communicate. Well, I took it upon myself to press the fine lines of justice for a justice of my own. Are my kids okay? Well, I got arrested, and I won't tell you how many times, but I've been in the justice system through court and things through my life 12 times now. And in my early youth, maybe a few little bit of those were because of my foolishness as you're growing up, a teenager into your early 20s young man, right, I suppose. The big chunk of it then later in life all became about doing good, and sometimes doing good gets twisted out in the justice system when you come up against things in walls and stuff in the legal system, right? I'm not going to purport anything against anybody. I did not take any action back then, and I won't tell you how many cops took me down the second time I got arrested and all that connected stuff back then a decade ago. And I won't tell you how many showed up at the scene to talk to me and watch out for neighbors in the neighborhood who may have jumped into my rescue. And I don't want you to know how many took me down, and I got thrown into a car, stuffed in the back seat with cuffs around my legs and hands, one leg and hands, and and I won't tell you about the abrasions on my head, elbows, legs and stuff. And I was locked up for 10 days on that one, and I had to go through court a number of times, and I won't tell you all about that. But when I speak about these issues, okay, you're not talking to some dummy who's not aware of things and what happens and the fine. And if you are someone where there's a line, interpretation sometimes is gray, and you got to figure it out, right? But if you're walking away from a cop he's arresting you, and you have a gun pointed at you, and you walk away and you turn, you have no longer any fear of the Lord, you have no fear of justice, and you're reaching into your Dodge Journey on the news, I see, and this is all a big deal, right? Some people are on the bandwagon of a wrong that may have happened, and now they're trying to do what? Make it right in their own eyes? You're reaching into under your seat of your car, there might be a gun under there, so the cop, what? He's going to take further action. Well, I don't resist any arrest anymore, because back then I decided I wasn't going back to jail when I was trying to protect my kids. While I'm resisting arrest in that scenario, the next step, so then they got to do what they got to do, because they're here to provide law, security, protection for us, the citizens of the land of Canada at this point, but it's everywhere. North America, around the world. And so you're doing that, you're going to expect it's going to get higher and higher up and know where it's going to go, okay? So so I'm just telling you, don't be crying wolf in the media about police brutality unless you're real about your situation, because I don't want to hear it anymore. No matter what color you are, black, white, or orange, I don't care. It doesn't matter. These police are doing their job, and it's incidences, okay? And I think of the oil patch, and our company assesses performance and the strategies of measuring things, and you can reward good performance, and you can keep incidences down and bad behavior and so forth. Well, when the police are arresting people for crime, and some groups of people are involved in more trouble, why is that? Well, maybe you're involved in more crime, right? So the incident level is going to be way up compared to other groups of people that aren't involved in crime, and there's smaller amounts of incidences. So you're crying brutality when actually it's just your people group perhaps is more involved in that stuff. And the only way is education to get people out, and new mindsets, new thinking, new behavior. And I promote education. I'm a believer in that? No, actually, yeah, I am, but I own a training company, and I want to do sure here and get more out of it by coaching people in the new levels of behavior in these last days we live in, right? So there's that. But the oil field went through this years ago. Guys were dying on oil rigs, losing hands, losing their lives. Dangerous. One of the dangerous jobs, drilling for oil. And you know that companies like mine started to measure performance and reward people into better behavior. There's no reason why this can't happen on the police forces around the world too. Is people, when pushed into inadequate situations, make judgments, and sometimes a bad thing might happen. Well, if you can reward people to keep incidences down, that's a positive behavior side, other than just the punishment consequence side that has to happen too, right? So we go from there. That's one thing about connections consulting I didn't want to tell you today on my team barbecue, which is basically just me, but I did. Now let's move on. I want to talk about love, actually. When I talk about love, sometimes people take this situation to heart. They take it the wrong way. Maybe love is not always just the romantic persuasion or the sexual persuasion, right? The word love attributed to kindness can be brotherly between two people, a man and a woman, a man and a man, sure, a man and his mother, a man and his daughter, a man and his son, a mother, sister to sister, all that, right? Anybody, friendships. And when you look love up in the dictionary, what it really means is a profound, passionate, affectionate friendship where two people have this sort of kinship together. It doesn't always mean sexual, or romantic for that matter. So take it as that way when I talk about the word love. If you go beyond that in your romanticism, that's up to you with the people you endeavor to in your life or want to get married or whatever, I suppose. When I'm talking about love, I'm talking about a situation in your heart. It's a kindness. It's a action, and you show it and you express it. And anyways, that's enough about that. There'll be people married. So what? I don't want to, maybe I will. I don't want to talk about the gay people. I've never got into those arguments in the media. If you want to know my thoughts on history and the historical scriptures, look back in my timeline to a video titled, the gay people have rights just like all the different ethnics, and I haven't mentioned them, but you're included in the group, in the rights, and laws and stuff. And but know what my thinking is, if you want, on the timeline called my Christmas 2019 message by my videos Singles Do and Singles the New. It's about single people, and you'll hear some of my historical views that make sense today, perhaps, about what's right and living right, and perhaps you've shaped your life that way. I don't know. It's up to you. Everybody has free choice. One thing I do know is that in the platitudes of the Holy Scripture, it says things that are certain. If you can figure out what that means, then for your own life, there's just lots in there. Like if the man, here's a parable or a proverb: man finds a gold coin on the ground, picks it up, puts it in his pocket, keeps it. That's a good one. I like. And if a black lady married a white man and their kid is Milano, then it's a Milano marriage and a Milano person. It doesn't make you any less than anybody else. You still have the same rights, even though you're not part of the pure groups. You're now a mix of both, so don't get squandered in that thinking you're nothing. You might have played a good role in unity, actually, because you've seen both sides of it. Part of the reason to learn ancient scriptural truths is so your thinking is right about what has lasted through history and makes sense. When you live, how do you know people are thinking wrong and you're right? Because maybe some people are telling you you're wrong, but maybe you're actually right. And what if there's a lot of people around you who are telling you you're wrong, but you're actually right? Well, if you were living in a hospital and you were on a floor adjacent to the mental institution floor and everybody's walking around straitjackets and you're just in the sick ward, that'd be pretty obvious that you're the one that has the right thinking, according to society, right? But when it's not clear, when you're in your neighborhood or around wherever, and I suppose everybody kind of looks similar. Here I am with my Calgary Flames jersey on. Way to go, Flames! Keep going next year, country! Woo! Don't even be thinking about selling out or trading. Come on, you guys, quit it. You've been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Where have you been the last 19? So don't even, snap out of it now, Johnny and everybody. Don't get too drunk on the fact that you're not there. There's a lot going on. It's sure and quick who's in and out. And some of the first round series were a lot better in intensity than the ones we're in now. 8-2, New York Islanders. I'm Tampa Bay. The Blue Lightning. The true blue. But, I like the Rangers, but they're not in. Anyways, I made money on the Islanders years ago, betting, when I was in grade 12. I saw my dad talking about how great they were that year. That was the 4 years in a row Stanley Cup. Nobody's done it since. The last dynasty. And how good of a team they were. And I was sure, I could see the glint in his eye. So I didn't tell him. I went around and started making bets with people. And then he looked at me like, what are you doing? Well, I just knew how sure he was about how good they were. So I took it. Anyways, I'm not promoting that. But, so watch those two videos. And one thing I do know about the scripture, and I'll just tell you this. The only instance that I'm aware of that talks about human homosexuality in a negative way where God finds it as an abomination and unpleasing, an insult to him, is when two men are having sex. Never says anything about women in the scriptures, and I'm not promoting anything here, but I do know King Solomon had 600 hookers, concubines, and 300 wives, or vice versa. I forget. I'd have to go back and look. And could you imagine how long it would take him to get around and please all of them and keep them happy? That'd be like 900. That'd be like 30 each day. But anyways, enough of that. The point is, they would be living together, and I'm sure some of them would be in the same bed. And all I'm saying is, ladies, when I bump into you around the community and you're together, and if that's your decision in life, don't take insult to me because of my beliefs. I'm giving you equal respect. And, take a look here once in a while and see. Maybe there's a good man in your midst you can get along with. And maybe you got to examine your own heart. If there's a hateful sightfulness in you, I'm just me making my own decisions, and you are obviously too. So I'm saying this for a reason. There's a few people that aren't treating me fair, and maybe you're one of them. So, some of you ladies got a Brent in your heart. Respect the king a bit, eh? That loves you, a good person, a neighbor. And maybe you get along with them better, right? And anyways, I'm saying that. And maybe I'll make a comment about incest too. People are sometimes wondering about things, and I'm going to do more on human rights in the future, but for now, this is the end of my timeline, this humor section, and on the founder perspective of connections. And we'll go from there. I'm a simple man, and simplicity is key. My Simply the Best lemonade I just bought at Sobeys this morning. Way to go, Sobeys. That market's good. You guys are looking clean, man. Your store was awesome this morning. The gesture is there for simplicity, pure. Keep it clean and good. People coming in and out. Clean the store up all the time. Keep it in order. I used to work there years ago. It's awesome. I get all that. I love the first thing in the morning store appeal when nobody's in and it's quiet. It's just awesome. But on the incest note, the notable account in the Bible from years ago, two daughters took it upon themselves to come in and not sweep their dad off his feet. They got him when he was maybe a bit drunk and passed out, and they tried to have a baby from him. And God looked down at that as an abomination also. And that's the only account that I know of in incest, where God refers to it as a bad thing. And so, you know, you got to figure out and run your families the way you do. And I love that because it's nothing to do with me. I live my life. But if you're a daughter and a dad and you're living together, shacked up and in maybe sexual relations together, I suppose, you know, in the day we live in, all I'm saying is maybe if you feel no guilt, the dad or either one of you, the dad was away working in Fort Mac for 45 days and the mother slept with the milkman and had the baby, and the daughter's not actually even your blood. It's your girlfriend now. So, I mean, don't tell me what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm living my life. You live yours respectfully. We'll get along wisely in an eternity together and right here in this economy now. And hopefully we're going to make this economy build and be robust. I'm working at that every day. And girls, if you want to be the next Mrs. May, I suppose, and maybe there is one coming. I'm always a hopeful optimist. You know, the Kiki bird sausage, you will get used to it. It'll be good. You will grow to love it. Oh, man. Go with that. And go in passion. We are in sales management courses in October in Hawaii. The 13th, 19th, and 26th weeks. And we're back in Edmonton and Toronto in December on the, I forget now, it's 2 weeks now. What are the dates? I don't have it all scheduled in. Looking for business, looking for customers that will book and sign in and learn our etiquettes of sales management. And that's good. These are M&Ms. Isn't that interesting? Not that other Spo name, Spolumbos or something. M&M. Bernie May and maybe whoever wants to make their last name May. December 1st, 7th and 14 weeks back in Edmonton and Toronto. Looking for business. We had our courses at $5,700 in 2019. With COVID, we've cut them down to $3,600 in price for the entirety of our 8-section module. And we'll work with you if you need some specific things. But it usually involves sales basics, getting over sales recovery, winning back sales in businesses you've lost. And also, you know, how to put out fires, handling angry customers, getting them eaten out of the palm of your hand kind of thing. Detail management, I suppose, problem solving, all that. Come join us. Our mission is building successful customer service professional for people, individuals, organizations, and businesses, I suppose, and you know, so that you can be a good leader. That's our mission. Market growth projects and business training. Bernie May, Connections Consulting, signing off. wconnectionscon.ca. Amen.